Do you wonder why men always seem to want you the most after you've left them? Why is it that when you finally take a step back, all of a sudden they realize how much they want you? We'll discuss 5 interesting concepts that will help you understand why men need absence to know you're the one, and how you can use it to get any man to fall in love with you. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here or present so that I know that you're actively participating in the live chat. Welcome to all of you beautiful people on this amazing, what is today? Wednesday afternoon. Okay. We got LY here. We got Brianna's here. Of course, we got Missy America over in the YouTube. No, I don't see Missy America. Maybe she was here earlier. Maybe I missed it. Missy America? She's not here. Teddy's here. We got Flower Child is here. We got Enlightened A's here. Delta's here. Melina's here. Allie's here in the YouTube chat as well. Stace here. SH. Jasmine. Welcome to all you beautiful people who are joining me today. Okay, let's get started. So I want to talk to you about first. Let's talk about a concept called the love poet. Okay, so this is going to require some imagination. Okay, I'm going to paint you a picture. Let's imagine I am a soldier and me and you are in a relationship. Now, let's say up until this point in the span of me being a soldier, I have never actually deployed because let's just say we've never gone to war for whatever reason. So in the span since I've been a soldier, we've been married for, let's say, 5 years. Our marriage has been going decently well, but you're noticing that as time has gone on, we're kind of getting to this point where I'm not as romantic with you. I don't seem as interested in you. I don't really seem as physically intimate or interested in you. We just don't cuddle as much. I'm not as affirming to you. I don't tell you how beautiful you are and how much I want you and desire you. You feel the coldness and you feel the distance beginning to separate us in the relationship. Okay. Now, let's say all of a sudden I get deployed for the first time because we're having a war. It's like a crisis, right? And I have to get deployed. And now that I'm getting deployed, let's just say for the sake of example, I'm going to be deployed for 8 months up until a year, maybe even longer if things don't go well. And I go and I get deployed. And let's say, now I'm at war, I'm deployed, I'm overseas, and I'm not spending any more time with you. I'm not able to see you. I'm not really able to contact you because of the circumstances. And the only way for me to get a message to you, let's just say hypothetically, is by sending you a letter, right? So let's imagine, right? I can only send you letters and the types of things I might send you as time goes on, right? Let's say it's 3 months now, it's 4 months now, 5 months. And as time is going on and I'm writing you these letters, you're noticing that I'm sounding a lot like a love poet in these letters. And I'm sounding a lot more romantic than you've ever known me to be. I'm telling you how I love you so much and I can't wait to see you again and how amazing you are. I'm talking about the color of your eyes and how I miss it when your eye usually twitches when you laugh so hard at my jokes. And I'm telling you all the things I want to do to you when I finally see you again in this next 8 months and how stressful it's been and how horrible it's been to be without you for all this time. And I'm writing all of this amazing stuff in my letters to you, and you feel like it's amazing and you love it and you appreciate it, but you're kind of wondering to yourself, I kind of wonder why you never expressed any of these things that you're feeling or any of these thoughts that you've been having to me when we were together, because all of this stuff that you're writing inside these letters is amazing, but I've never heard them come from you in the span of our 5-year marriage. And then let's say, for the sake of example, I come back after a year of being deployed in this war, right? And I come back and I embrace you with the biggest hug I've ever embraced you, and I kiss you all over your face, and I tell you how amazing you are, and I tell you all these affirming words, and I'm so much more romantic with you after I come back from deployment than I ever was when I was spending these 5 years of marriage with you. Okay? Now, the reason I give you that example is because it kind of encapsulates what we're going to discuss today and why that happens. Because I'm sure for some of you who have been through a situation like this, you're probably thinking to yourself, why is it that for whatever reason, these men seem to be always the most interested in me when I take a step back, or when I'm over the situation, or when I break up with them, or when I decide I'm done with them, right? Or for whatever reason, they just, whenever they have the space to miss me, all of a sudden now they see how amazing I am. They see all the things I was doing for them. And now all of a sudden I'm the best thing since sliced bread. How many of you have ever experienced something like that, where for whatever reason you had space from a guy? And I want you guys to answer in the live stream. For whatever reason, you had space from a man, and that during that space that you had from the man, he comes back and he tells you how amazing you are. He tells you how much he wanted to see you. He tells you how beautiful you are, and he tells you all of these romantic things, and you're kind of like, damn, didn't know that you felt that way. Would have been nice to hear while I was like around, but it's great that you realize all of that when I'm gone. I've been gone for so long. Kind of strange that you would think of all that when I'm gone, and never say that to me when I'm around. So tell me, have you ever experienced something like that? Tissy Bay says yes. Brianna says yes. Chiama says LMAO. Yolo says they want to do it, right? Flower Child says, oh yes. Enlightened says yes. Mimi says yes. She says they always come back and they stalk my life. Ivy says yes as well. Okay. The reason that is happening is for a couple of reasons. I want you to understand, okay, in the example of the soldier at war, I want you to understand what's happening under the hood here. When a man, I'm just going to tell you from a man's perspective, when we are around a woman, it's great, it's awesome. But especially at the beginning, sometimes for men, we don't quite understand what it is that we feel yet about them, what our genuine feelings are about them. And as strange as it sounds, it takes that space away from you to realize all of the feelings that we have. Now, we're going to discuss all of the different aspects that are happening here under the hood because they're very specific. But I just want you to understand the overall theme, right? Is that the space allows our mind to actually focus on the person and realize the genuine feelings that we feel for that person. Okay, so we're gonna dive deep into each of these after I gave you the love poet example, so you can encapsulate it underneath a story, right? So first we have imagination. Okay, I'm gonna paint a slightly different picture for you, and hopefully this connects to you as well, right? Let's imagine, right, you are going to two separate movies, right? So they're both the same movie about the same thing. At one movie theater, they're both horror movies, let's just say for the sake of example. And at both movies, you go to them and you watch them at the same time, and you're trying to see which one is better. In one of these horror movies, they reveal the monster right away at the very beginning in the first image, and you see him in the sunshine midday with a clear sky, and it's right there. You can see its whole body and everything just sitting there. In the second movie, right, they don't show the monster for basically the entire film, right up until the end. And even when you do see the monster, you only see little glimpses of it. You only hear noises of it. You only see it creeping and crawling and doing weird stuff, right? And it's only up until the very end that the monster gets revealed. Now, I want to ask you, which horror movie do you think would be more terrifying? The horror movie where you see the monster at the very beginning in the first image of the movie standing in broad daylight, or the horror movie where you barely see glimpses of the monster, but you know it's there, you can hear it, you can feel it, it's attacking the characters, it's going crazy, right? But you just can't quite see it and understand it fully. Which horror movie do you think would be more scary to you if you had to guess? I see Sophia says the second one. Okay. EA says the second. Okay. Melina says the second movie as well. Okay. Brianna says the second movie. Okay. Annie says it all depends on the story. Let's assume that both stories and both themes are the same. It's an identical movie. It's just structured slightly differently, just for the sake of argument, right? So in one movie, they let you see the monster right at the beginning. In the other one, you barely see it, right? And I want to know which one do you guys think would be more scary. So obviously, Annie says clown movie and Jason. So obviously, right, it's more likely that the second movie is going to be more terrifying, more scary than the first movie where you see the monster right at the beginning and you see him in broad daylight, okay? Or her, whatever the monster, or it, whatever the monster is, right? Now, the reason for that and the reason I bring that up is because what's actually happening is something very interesting with the human mind, right? Our imagination is the most powerful tool that we don't even realize how it affects our perception of things. And the reason I use that example is because I want you to see how your imagination can drastically change your perception of a situation, of a person, of a place, of a thing, of an anything, right? And the same thing applies to men, and why, when you're absent from them, all of a sudden now they come to this realization, and we'll get to realization in a little bit, but they come to this realization that, oh my God, they have to be with you. Oh my God, you're the best thing since sliced bread. Oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're so stunning. You're the one that he wants to be with, right? Because, right, the imagination does something very interesting. When someone or something is not present, they are able to imagine what you're like. Now, this is something very interesting. In the process of him imagining what you're like, what's going to happen is as you're more and more absent from him, he's only going to be able to replay in his mind all of the good aspects of you, and it will become harder and harder to remember the bad aspects of you. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing because you're thinking, oh, well, if he's not remembering the bad aspects of me, he's only thinking of the good aspects, then he's not really remembering me properly. He's not really actually thinking of me. He's projecting onto me. He's not really actually in love with me. Okay? This is what happens to all of us, right? But with that distance, especially for the men, from you, their imagination is allowed to run wild. It's hard to imagine what someone is like, right? Or imagine what it felt like to be with someone when they're actually sitting with you right then and there, right? And in the process of his imagination playing over and over of you in his mind, what is that doing? Like we talked about yesterday, he's thinking of you all the time. All of that brain power is focused on you. And as that brain power continues to be focused on you more and more and more, right, he begins to grow his desire for you. Okay. Alejandro said, what bad aspects? I just mean bad aspects as in like, there's obviously situations that you go through with the person that might not make them feel the best. Nobody's a perfect person. So maybe some things that you said or did, he doesn't like, whatever it may be. That's what I mean by bad aspects. But what I also mean is that as time goes on, what your imagination does to you and what perception does to you is you begin to only remember the good parts of the person. It becomes harder and harder to remember what you were angry or upset about, and you just remember the good times and the good feelings of the person, okay? Now, so the imagination, what's happening there is all the things that annoyed him about you, all the things that he didn't like about you, all the things that he didn't care for or didn't think about or whatever it may be, right? He stops being able to focus on those things. And all of a sudden, because you're absent from him, now he can only think about the good qualities of you and the positivity you brought to his life. And his focus shifts from being, oh, I don't really like that you do this. I don't really like that you do that. I don't really like that this happens and that. And you say this and you say that. And his focus shifts to, what are all the things I do love about you? What are all the things I do appreciate about you? And the crazy part is, like, as that absence is happening and as his brain power is focusing more on you, his brain power right, is convince his brain power. His mind is convincing him that all of his focus on you is because of his desire for you. And so because he's convincing himself that he has an overwhelming amount of desire for you, he then in turn wants to only focus on the good aspects of you and all the great things you brought into his life and all the great aspects of your personality that he appreciates. And we'll talk about appreciation in a little bit, that he appreciates, he loves, and he cares for. Right? It kind of forces us to shift our focus in the one particular area that will be in line with the narrative of, oh, I'm thinking about you so much because I want you so much, because I desire you so much, and I desire you so much because of all of these good and amazing qualities about you. You see how that works? You can't convince yourself you're desiring someone because of these negative aspects of their personality or negative character traits. As you build the narrative that I'm thinking of someone because I desire them, you also are forced to focus on the aspects that are in line with that narrative, right? That's why we love storytelling as human beings, right? Because we create narratives in our own mind. And as we create narratives in our own mind, we look for confirmations of that narrative. So as I miss you, as I long for you because I don't have you here presently, I also create narratives that will fit in that box of I miss you and I desire you because of how amazing and awesome you are. This is all happening with the imagination. And like I said, the imagination is only allowed to run wild if you take a step back. Are you guys following me so far? Okay. So you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, so clearly imagination is powerful. Clearly, if I take a step back, that's the only time his imagination can run wild. Because how can his imagination run wild if you're sitting right in front of him, okay, all the time, right? Or if you're readily available to him all the time. You know, we always talk about availability and scarcity, right? If you're readily available to him 24/7, right? It's very hard for his imagination to begin running wild and for him to begin thinking of you, right? And thinking about you and thinking about your relationship if you're right in front of him. Now, I know that sounds super toxic, but it's the truth, right? Your imagination cannot run wild when someone is right in front of you all the time. Okay? It's just impossible. Right? And that's the thing is, I know for some of you, you're probably like, well, how am I going to get his imagination running wild if I'm hanging out with him all the time? Or if I'm supposed to be dating this person, or if I'm supposed to be building a relationship with this person, right? Here's the key. See, it's not about not spending time with that person. It's really about, and then we kind of talked a little bit about this yesterday, it's really about understanding how you can strategically be scarce to that person, that your absence can allow their imagination to run wild. Right? Remember, we talked about yesterday, one of the easiest ways to do that, I know you guys hate when I say this because some of you guys are textaholics, is to stay off of the phone. Stay off of the phone. That means stay off of the dating apps. Stay off of the being a textaholic. Stay off of the Snapchats. Get rid of your Snapchat streaks. You don't need to be Snapchatting any guy that you're trying to build a relationship with. Why? Because all of those forms of communication are what I call low quality forms of communication. And when you're communicating to him in those low quality forms, he's going to feel like you're still around. He's going to feel like you're still present. He's going to feel like he's still speaking to you and you've never left his life. Okay? You notice how the guys only reach out to you after you haven't reached out to them in a long while. It's hard for them to reach out to you if they're ongoing, still talking to you all the time. You see how that works? Right? And Sophia says, what about Instagram? It's the same thing. So when we're talking about being a textaholic, DMs, Snapchats, dating out, any of those things, right, that are keeping you in constant communication with him, sending him memes, sending him video. If you really love the video so much, you love the meme so much, I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you that I'm like being for real. If you really love the meme and you love the video so much and you want to show it to him that bad, save it and show it to him when you see him next. Okay. Sophia says, what if he watches my story? Doesn't matter. He's watching your story, right? What I'm referring to when I talk about imagination is I'm referring to you keeping constant communication with him that doesn't allow his imagination to run wild and for you to actually be absent. That's the problem, is that for a lot of you, you're never actually absent to that guy that his imagination can begin running wild. You're so focused, and this is the thing that I know doesn't make sense to you, and it works oppositely for men, so you feel like it should work the same as it does for you. Here's where the confusion lies, is because for most of you, actually, let me not even assume, right? Tell me in the chat, yes or no, and this is where I want everyone to answer because I don't want it to just be me making an assumption. Tell me yes or no. Do you feel like with absence from a guy, you like him less or more? Okay, so answer in the chat, less or more. With absence from a man, do you feel like you like him less or more? Which one? Okay. I see some people saying less. I see some people saying more. Brianna says more. MD says less. Right? Yes says less. Okay. Yasmin says like him less. Miss Anane says I like him less. Delta says less. Flower Child says less. Ivy says less, to be honest. Okay, this is great. I like that we're kind of all disagreeing on this, but this is a great debate, okay? So the reason I bring that up is because for men, it's always more, okay? If they like you and they're interested in you, as you're absent, they always like you more. And I see a lot of people in the chat. I know some people say more as well, right? But for a lot of women, they tend to like you guys tend to like a man less if you're spending less time with him. Now, obviously, it's kind of goes on a curve, right? So when I say absence, after a while of him being absent, you begin to care less and less and less and less up until the point you just don't care anymore, right? So there's kind of like a time frame in which you do care and then you stop caring. For men, it's different. And you want to know how I know that it's different is because think about what's happened with most of your exes. If you've ever been through multiple relationships, right? It's like at the very beginning of your breakup, you probably feel the most anxiety and pain and hurt because you just broke up and you're not used to being detached from the person and you find it very difficult to imagine your life without the person and all those things. So the very beginning for you is the most painful part. And for the men, it kind of starts the opposite way. The very beginning for them is like the easiest part because they just say, F her, forget about her. Yo, boys, we about to go out. We about to go crazy. We about to do whatever we want. Yo, you free now. You don't got to worry about no one. You don't got to take care of no one. You don't got to pay for no dates. And they're just like free as a bird. And you're thinking, damn, you must have not ever cared about me whatsoever. Right? But then as time goes on and you heal from the relationship and you get better and you realize that your life is still fine and still good and still amazing without him, you feel happier and more joy. Meanwhile, he goes in the opposite direction. So you guys kind of cross paths. It's like a graph like this, right? Because he goes in the opposite direction. As time goes on, he goes from, yo, guys, we outside, we doing whatever we want. Yo, we gonna get drunk. We gonna do whatever we getting all the hoes, we getting all the girls. Yo, I'm out. Yo, I'm with it. Yo, whatever they want, I'm with it. Yo, I'm outside till 3 a.m. for you, right? They go from that to, what are we doing today? Oh, we going to the club again? Yo, y'all don't want to like stay inside and cook or something. I'm kind of tired of like going out. Like this shit kind of hurt. Yo, I'm tired. Like y'all don't want to just like watch movies or something. No, you could club again, get drunk again. I mean, I guess we could go. And then he goes from that. And then he goes all the way downhill to where he's like, yo, this is tragic. Yo, I miss her so much. And then he starts calling you, please, baby, I miss you. Baby, I miss you so much. I can't breathe without you. Yo, out here in these streets, it's not good. Yo, it's not safe. I can't do this no more, man. Please come back to me. I'm so sad without you. All these girls, they useless, man. They're useless. They just want the money. They don't want me at all. I can't do this no more. Right? And he comes right back. Meanwhile, by the time he calls you, you're feeling great about yourself and feeling great about your life. And you're kind of like, I'm honestly kind of over it now. Right? You feel like you're over it now. And that's what's happening, because for a majority of men, right, as the time goes on, their anxiety and the pain that they feel increases with your absence, while your pain and anxiety actually decreases over time. That's the amazing part. And so this is how you can begin utilizing that to your advantage. Because if you understand that as time goes on, the men feel more pain, well, then you understand if you're strategic about giving him more absence, you can give him more anxiety that will also lead to him liking you and being more interested in you, as crazy as that sounds, even if you're in a relationship. Okay? So like I mentioned, stay off the cell phone. If you want to do this properly, if you want to create absence, that he'll want to chase after you, that he'll want to be around you, that he'll want to know what you're doing, that he'll figure out and realize that you're the one, stay off the cell phone, because that's another version of just being around 24/7. And remember, when you're around 24/7, right, what's going to happen? He's going to stop being able to imagine you. Right? Because you're not going to be absent. If he's not able to imagine you, his perception of you is not going to increase, right? Or be more valuable, because all he can think about is all he can be in is his imagination. You following along so far? Right? The imagination is so very powerful that you want to constantly be trying to use imagination to your advantage. You got to embody this like fairy princess that is just aloof, and just one day you're just here and he's like, oh my God, you're the fairest woman in the land. And you're like, oh, bye, see you later. And then all he can think about is how amazing you were when you walked by, and the 30 seconds that he was enchanted by you, and how much he wants to have that experience again, right? You just got to be this desirable piece of angelic figure that just comes around every once in a while. And when you come around, it's such an amazing out-of-body experience, but it's never for long enough that he can ever feel satisfied with you being around, because all that time that you're gone from his sight, right? All he has time to do is imagine you and think about you and wonder about you. Think about your last interaction. Think about your smile. Think about your eyes. Think about your hair. Think about every single little intricate detail about you and how much he wants to see you again. Okay, it's the same thing when I gave you guys the example of the love poet soldier that's at war, writing his wife back letters, talking about how amazing she is, saying all the things that he never seemed to say in their 5-year marriage. But it seems like all of a sudden, when he was away from her, all of a sudden he was able to remember and think of all of these amazing things that he wanted to say, and he wanted to tell her how he felt. Right? It's like men turn into love poets as soon as they step away from you. But the thing is, if you're strategic about it, you can always make him feel like you're just absent enough that triggers that anxiety and triggers that pain, that he will constantly want to be like a love poet to you, want to reach out to you, want to take a step forward, want to go after you, want to pursue you more, right? And this is something that's natural within men. And if you trigger it the right way, you'll get that same response every time. And trust me, if any of you have tried this or have been listening to me long enough that you've kind of switched or implemented some of the things that we discuss, you'll see the difference in the response that you get from men when you change your own approach. Okay? Because like I always tell you guys, majority of you that are in this chat listening are not ugly. Maybe some of you are ugly. You have huge bobble heads, huge foreheads, something like that. But majority of you are pretty attractive women. which means it's not really about not being attractive to the guys. It's about adjusting your approach. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Ivy says, I feel like I don't exist if I'm not in his presence. That's the whole point. Ivy, I know it sounds crazy, and I know for the rest of you it sounds insane, but that's the whole point. The fact that you are not in his presence and not physically existing in front of him forces him to think about you, right? And the process of thinking about you makes him feel like he likes you even more than he thought he liked you, right? It's a very weird game that our mind plays on us, right? Because we naturally assume if I'm thinking of this girl more, it's because I care about her more. It's because I like her more. It's because I desire her more. And we begin to convince ourselves that the only reason I'm thinking about her so much is because of how much I like her. And because we're creating that narrative in our mind, what does our mind then focus on? All of the aspects of your character and your personality that confirm the narrative of I'm thinking about her so much because I like her so much because I desire her so much, right? Kamara says, my favorite name on here, Kamara, says, and not just be someone's pen pal ad nauseum. I agree. There's a balance there, remember? Okay, so you're being absent in a way that allows him to continue desiring you. But then when you do show up, right, you're not showing up in a way where, oh, okay, the times that you do hear from me, we're being pen pals and we're texting for a day and then I'm disappear for a couple of days. No. When you are present, you want to be present in a very high quality form that he can be filled with all of your amazingness and awesomeness, and it's an overwhelming sensation and stimulation of all of his six senses, okay? That he can remember you, right? And his last and only memory of you will be such an amazing, positive, over-the-top experience that all he can think about is having that experience again. Being someone's pen pal just becomes a low-quality experience where you talk to them 24/7 and you never actually feel real emotions towards you. One day we'll have another live stream where I talk about triggering a man's emotions, whether you want to call them positive emotions or negative emotions, is the way to get him interested in you. It's not by being around in low quality forms where he can think to himself, oh, she's chill. Oh, hanging out with her is chill. I don't mind her. She's all right. Soon as a guy starts talking about you and describing you like that, she's chill. She's all right. I don't mind her. She's cool, right? All of those things, right? Descriptions communicate indifference, right? Indifference in the fact that if you're around, yeah, it's nice. If you're not around, it's not too bad. But you're never going to draw a guy in. You're never going to have him by the balls. You're never going to have his mind and his soul and his spirit if he thinks of you as, it's cool when you're around. It's chill when you're around. He has to be on fire, right? He's got to feel like he's on fire when he's around you, right? The stimulation of the emotions makes you and turns you into an entity that is all encompassing and all consuming. He cannot get rid of you in his mind. That's what turns you into that. It's not by being around all the time, texting all the time, Snapchatting all the time, DMing all the time, because what happens is you're thinking, oh, when we text all the time, Snapchat all the time, phone call all the time, I'm there 24/7. He's liking me more because I like him more because now I'm around him more, right? Because for you, remember, for you, it's the opposite. When you're creating feelings, the more time you're spending with him, the better you feel about the relationship and the more secure, the more you like him, all that good stuff. But for him, right? The only times he has to really grow his appreciation for you is when you're absent from him. But because you're so focused on yourself and, oh, I want to like you more, so I want to spend more and more time with you, 24 hours a day with you, I'll spend 25 hours a day with you. What's going to happen is you never allow his own imagination and feelings to kick in in the way that's natural to him, where in your absence, he can begin imagining you and longing for you and wishing for you and desiring you. Okay? Anna says, I come here for great knowledge and fantastic acting. Thank you. The mature, as the show matures, we'll get into more fantastical acting situations and great storylines. It'll be like the Jimmy Kimmel show combined with like a live action play. It's going to be very interesting what I have planned for you guys in the next few years. Okay? So, right? Ivy says, he only thinks of me when he wants pineapples. That's a whole different thing, okay? Because if he's just using you, right, your absence is not really going to be about his longing and desire to be with you more. It's really was only about your your Squirtle, right? So that's a totally different thing. If he's just using you, he's not going to be thinking of you very much when he doesn't have access to you, okay? Delta says, the less you think about him, the more he thinks about you. That's better than the opposite. Delta, that's true. What's also true, though, is even if you like a guy, being strategic, this is the thing. Like I said to you guys, it's not about you guys being ugly or unattractive or not able to get a guy to like you. It's about the approach. And the problem with your approach is when you like a guy, you're going to do certain things that actually make it harder for him to like you as much as you like him, right? But if you're strategic and you listen to me and you understand the concepts that I'm trying to give you from a man's perspective, what's going to happen is instead, when you do like a guy, you'll still be able to hold your water and do these particular actions that will elicit the response of him desiring you more, chasing after you more, being more interested in you, and you'll get the guy that you like a lot to like you even more. Right? Right? Kamara says, literally applies to everything in life. Stop drinking water for a day and see how much you miss it. Exactly. See, Kamar, you're very smart. I'm glad you're connecting things, right? It's exactly like that, right? As soon as something becomes absent, that's the only time you have time to, we'll talk about appreciation in a bit, but you have time to appreciate it and think about how much you enjoy it and like it, right? As long as it continues to be in your life and readily available to you, you'll never think about how much you long for it and miss it and desire it to be back in your life. Okay. I don't know if you guys have ever gone more than 24 hours without eating. Okay. I don't know for those of you guys who actually fast, have done a long-term fast or anything like that, or a water fast. I've done 21 days. Okay. But for those of you who've ever done a fast, whether it be from water, from food, from whatever, you know that the time you appreciate food the absolute most is when it's finally been taken away from you and you don't have it readily available to you. And all of a sudden, now you can appreciate how good the mundane things you were taking for granted taste. Okay? It's very interesting how that happens. And that desire only comes with the absence. You can't have desire, for the men at least, you can't have that intense amount of desire when you're present all the time. Now, that doesn't mean that you purposely have to not spend time with the guys that you're trying to date, but you can be strategic, like I said, about being absent in certain aspects of the relationship that don't serve you anyways. You understand what I mean by that, right? Being on the phone 24/7 and texting him 24/7 doesn't serve you anyways. It actually makes your relationship, actually makes your life harder, because it makes it harder for you to get from him the initiative and the action that you're seeking. Okay. So if you're absent in those aspects, what are the only what becomes the only way he can gain access to you or stop you from being absent is by going on dates with you, is by taking you out, is by spending real quality time with you. If that's the only way he's going to see you, he's going to have to decide for himself, am I interested in enough in her that I need to go see her and spend real quality time with her, right? Or else I won't have access to her and I'm so interested in her that that's not a possibility. Right? This is also a great way to weed out the guys who are actually interested in you versus the guys who are just playing you and using you. Like Ivy said earlier, right? If he only wants pineapples from you, if he's only trying to utilize your Squirtle and you create absence, but he was only there for your Squirtle in the first place, well, then what's going to happen? Probably nothing. because he wasn't even interested in you or spending time with you or growing a relationship with you. He was just using you. And so it's a great way to weed out the men who are actually interested versus the men who are just using you. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Marilyn says, what if he's the one texting you? You don't need to, you're not obligated to text people, right? Now, obviously that doesn't mean never text him back. What I mean by that is you can text him and say, hey, I'm busy. I'm doing this. I'm doing that, right? If you need to, you might have to text him back in a day, right? Take a day to text back. Really show him that you're not a texter, okay? And you can come back and make excuses for why you didn't text back. But you, in the process of you making excuses for why it took you so long to text back, you can say how excited you would be to go out somewhere with him and spend real quality time with him. That's where you find that balance. It's not by just totally ignoring him, right? Because totally ignoring him will make him feel like you're not interested in him. It's by making sure you're absent in that sense. But when you do speak to him, even if it's over text, you let him know that the best version of you he'll get, the most attention that he'll receive from you is if he sees you in person, that you guys can spend some real quality time together. And you can let him know how excited you would be for that. Right? And then allow him the space to be a man and figure out how he's going to see you in person, that you guys can have this great, amazing conversation and connection, right? Because it's a confirmation that even though you're not texting him, it doesn't mean that you're not interested in him. And so what's going to happen is if he's interested in you, he's going to push forward and say, okay, I now have my answer that, okay, she's interested in me. And if I continue pursuing in the way that she wants me to pursue her, I will get more and more access to her. You see how that works? Right? Dre says this sounds like the beginning of a relationship. Truthfully and honestly, you can do this in the middle of a relationship, in the middle of a marriage. But the strategy is obviously going to be different. And obviously, if you don't establish that as being the regular you, when you make that switch, all of a sudden you do like a 180, it's going to seem random and it's going to seem suspicious. Okay, so obviously this is why it's very important that you take the concept and you figure out how it applies to your own specific situation and relationship. Don't just wait for me to tell you, okay, so in this situation, I've written in paragraph 35 in section B on letter A, you make sure that when he says this and does this, you do exactly this way at 9:35 p.m. Like, don't be waiting for me to give you that detailed of an answer for your life when each of you have your own individual situations. Take and extract the concept in which we discuss and really absorb it and listen to it. Don't just wait for the summary, right? Really absorb it and listen to it, which is what this is for, and then figure out how those individual concepts can be implemented into your specific situation in your life in a way that makes sense for you. Okay? Right? I'm just one person giving you a perspective and knowledge that can apply to a plethora of situations, right? But it's impossible for me to give you an answer for each one of your individual specific situations. That's why you need to extract the concept. Okay? So number 2 was the imagination. Okay. Number one, we had the love poet. Number 2, we had imagination. Number 3, let's talk about contrast. Okay. Now, in the process of him imagining you and imagining what it's like to spend time with you, right? And imagining what it felt like to be around you. That is the time where he actually has the space to contrast what it was like to be with you versus what it was like to not be with you. In the example that I gave you guys of the soldier at war who's writing you all of these love poems, right? The only reason he's able to properly see clearly all of the aspects of you and the relationship and your personality and your looks and your traits that he finds so amazing is because now when he's at war, he can actually contrast the fact that you were so amazing, you treated him so well, how good it felt to be around you with how horrible it feels to be away from you, how horrible it feels to be at war, how horrible it feels to not be able to see your beautiful face and your beautiful smile and your beautiful eyes and all that good stuff. The contrast is also what is playing a role in why your absence will actually stimulate him into desiring you more and realizing that you're the one for him. That contrast allows him to see what his life is like without you in it. And that's a good thing, because if you're bringing a lot of value and good things into the relationship and you're feeling like, oh, well, he doesn't see that or he doesn't notice that, that contrast is the perfect way for him to actually realize that. Right? Right? And that's how you do that. Cornflake says, what if you're an influencer? I can't really disappear. It's not necessarily about being absent in totality. What I'm talking about is being absent to that specific man. You can post 1,000 times on Instagram and feel, and the person that you were speaking to or in a relationship with or growing a relationship with still feels like you're absent to them personally, because the things that you post on your social media, whether you're an influencer or not, is not directly applied to him. Right? That's not direct communication with him. So you can still be made to feel absent, even though, right, you are present on social media or wherever you're at, right? So that's still possible. Okay. Now, there's a difference between that and texting him all the time still, or Snapchatting him all the time. That's very different, because that's directly to him. Anything direct will not create absence. When we're talking about posting on social media, that's a very different thing. Okay? Right? Callie says, the problem with me is I was texting and responding a lot, and then when I pull away, it's suspicious, like you said. Well, here's the thing. So for those of you who are in a relationship and you're wondering how you can implement these type of things into your life, here's the thing. It might seem suspicious at the beginning. Keep this in mind. It will seem suspicious at the beginning for you to just do a 180. But if you're willing to stick to this, it will be uncomfortable for him for a little bit, but that anxiety will actually make him inquire more about you and think more about you. And for a lot of you who might be in a situation where if you had to give a percentage of who likes more in the relationship, you're probably liking him more than he likes you. For a lot of you, that uncomfortable time period will be the shift of him being more interested and inquiring more about you than you inquire about him. When you begin texting him less, when you begin becoming more absent, that will be a little bit of a shift and an adjustment. He might accuse you of some things because he's wondering what's going on and what's changing. But all that's stemming from is the anxiety he feels that it's no longer in his favor, where he feels like you like him more than he likes you and he can sit back and relax. Now he feels like he has to be on the offensive. Okay. So now he's like, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? Well, why are you not texting me? Why are you not calling me? Why are you not this? Why are you not that? But what you don't realize is, as he begins to have that anxiety, if you just stay put and just stay calm, you'll realize that anxiety, I know this sounds horrible, and I know I'm a horrible person for saying this, and I know it doesn't sound good. I want you to understand, as he grows in that anxiety, your natural instinct is to ease that anxiety by showing him how much you still like him and going back on the offensive and trying to do the most so that he doesn't feel anxiety anymore. What I'm trying to tell you is that anxiety is good, and you want him to feel that anxiety because it will keep him on the offensive. And if he stays on the offensive, he's never going to have enough time to sit back, relax, and not think of you or not want you or not be trying to figure you out. Right? All of that time, right? All of that anxiety that he's having about you is forcing him to think about you, which is forcing him to feel more things, which is engaging his emotions. And if he's thinking more about you, what's he convincing himself? That he likes you more, that he desires you more. And if he's convincing himself that he likes you and desires you more, what's he going to be paying attention to? All the signs and the reasons of why he likes you and desires you more. Okay? Right? Ivy says, I mute his stories. I think he noticed I don't like her comment. That's actually that's a great strategy, right? I know it sounds if you guys, I know it might sound toxic, but I know it might not sound good, but that's a great strategy. If you're at the beginning of a relationship, or even if you're in a relationship, if you want, right, mute their stories. If you're, especially in these beginning parts, mute their stories. That way you're not, if you're someone that you like to respond to everything, or you get triggered whatever he posts, mute their stories, that you're not tempted to be watching them all the time, and have him be the one thinking, why don't you watch my stories? Why don't you ever see what I'm doing? Why don't you ever care what I'm doing? Why don't you ever want to see where I'm at, or what, right? And you're growing his anxiety towards you, right? Absence creates anxiety. Anxiety is good, okay? I hate to say it like that because it sounds horrible, but it's the truth. If you want these guys to really be interested in you, and to feel like you're the one, and to feel like he needs to be with you, that anxiety is good, because it forces him to think more and more about you, okay? Right? So that contrast is one of the most important parts to everything that you're trying to do, because when you give him that absence and you allow him to contrast what it's like to be with you and be around you and be in a relationship with you, versus when it's not, like when he doesn't have that, that is when he actually is able to see clear as day how amazing it was to be with you. Why do you think when you break up with these guys, all of a sudden, when you guys break up, now he can tell you about all the amazing things you did for him, and how much he wants to be with you, and how in love with you he is, and how much he wants to fix things? Because after having you in his life, he's able to contrast that experience with not having you in his life. And then the men come to their own realization. Like I said, we'll talk about realization in a bit. The men come to their realization that, oh, my life was so much better with her in it than it was without her. Right? Kamara says, and this also helps you, like it shows you can live without him, even if he's on your mind, and you're still a functional person. 100%, right? It increases your confidence that you don't feel that you need to be codependent on him, that if he's not in your life, if he's not around you, if he's not speaking to you every single day, then you're going to be forgotten to him forever. That's the one thing that I think that the trick that you play on yourself, a lot of you as women, right, is that you feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong, I don't want it to be like I know everything, but a lot of times you end up feeling like, if I don't text him every day, if I don't call him every day, if we don't speak every day, then he'll forget about me after a while, or he won't remember me after a while, or he just will stop caring about me after a while. Okay. And in reality, that's not what happens. That's actually a projection of how you feel, because you feel like if you stop talking to him all the time, if you stop calling him 24/7, if you stop texting him 24/7, that you'll start to like him less, and you don't want to like him less. Right. And so you project that same idea and concept onto him, when in reality, when you text him less, when you contact him less, when you try to talk to him less, all that absence is making him like you more. That's where the difference comes in, and that's where the confusion for you comes in, because you're confused why he doesn't approach it the same way as you, when in reality, the way that he grows his interest and desire for you is the opposite way that you grow your interest and desire for him, right? Brianna says, and they will realize what they lost. Exactly. They only are able to realize what they lost by contrasting it with what they had. And that's why that absence becomes so powerful, because it's the only way he can contrast what it's like to be with you with what it's like to not be with you. So think about it like that. If you're there 24/7, 365 all the time, never gets a break from you, as soon as he leaves your site, right, he's texting you 24/7, Snapchatting you. It's like some of you got the 3 apps going on at once. You got the Snapchat, right? Or for some of you, it might be WhatsApp. You got the text going on, and then you got the Instagram DM to send each other memes. Or maybe for some of you who are on TikTok, maybe you send your man memes on TikTok, right? Memes and funny videos on TikTok. So it's like you're talking in like 2 to 3 different places all the time, 24/7. And imagine what that does to his psyche when he's never able to get a break from you. Not that you're a bad person, or that he doesn't want to spend time with you, or he doesn't want to be around you, but imagine what that does for your absence. how can he possibly contrast what it's like to not talk to you, not speak to you, not be around you, not spend time with you, if every single minute of the day he's speaking to you, talking to you, or spending time with you in a low quality form, right? This is what I want you guys to understand. Kamara says not the 3 apps. It's giving unemployed. The thing is, listen, the reason I'm able to talk to you guys about this, because I actually know what really goes on. Okay. I know for a lot of other people, and not to diss other people, but I know for a lot of other people that talk about relationships, if you're a bit older, it's a lot harder to understand what the younger people are going through and experiencing, because you're not in that point in your life. A lot of them are talking about marriage, and the aspect of marriage is very different from dating someone at the very beginning and trying to, understand what it is you're feeling, what it is other people want from you, and all that good stuff. It's just a different perspective, right? And so I say that to say, I know what we're actually doing, right? Like what us younger people who are in the dating market are actually doing, and how we actually communicate, okay? And I know that, we love the memes. We love to send each other funny videos. Some of us love the Snapchat. And for some of you, you love the WhatsApp, right? Whatever. I am understanding enough to know that each individual person has their own app. Okay. You can tell me in the live stream what your app is, your app of choice, meaning that what is the app, first of all, that you waste the most time on, and the app that you just basically spend the most time on and get the most enjoyment out of. For all of us, it's actually different. Depending on who you are, depending on what your personality is, depending on what your vibe is, your app of choice will be different. Either way, it's probably the favorite app you use to communicate with your men, okay? And it's, at the end of the day, it's going to be low quality. I see Ray said IG, Phenomenal says TikTok. I see Shima says WhatsApp. I see TikTok. Obviously you guys are on TikTok, so for a lot of you, it's going to be TikTok. Adorable says WhatsApp. Someone else says Snap. Obviously some of the people on YouTube say YouTube. Some people say Instagram. If you guys were ever curious, this is a little side note, but if you guys were ever curious, my app of choice, the one that wastes the most of my time by far, right? When I say waste my time, I mean I don't go on there to look or search for anything. It literally just zaps my time away for no reason, is Instagram. By far, it's Instagram. When I delete Instagram, I do not have distractions. I can actually focus in my day and do everything that needs to be done. If I sit on Instagram, I will waste an entire day. Okay. Every other app doesn't seem to affect me the same way as Instagram, even TikTok. I post on TikTok and I don't feel the need to scroll through TikTok. So whatever it is about Instagram continues to be able to suck me back in and waste my time. Every other app I'm fine with. Okay. So, but I say that to say whatever app is your choice of app is what's most likely going to be the one you turn to when you're trying to have a lot of this low quality conversation with your man, right? Or the guy that you're dating or seeing. And that is ruining your ability to feel absent to him if you're always available, even if it's on that app. And you think, well, the app is just innocent. It's just this, it's just that, right? At the end of the day, it's making him feel like he's constantly in communication with you on whatever app it is. And because of that, he doesn't feel like you're actually absent. Okay? That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Okay, so Love Poet was number 1. Number 2, we had Imagination. Number 3, we had The Contrast. Number 4, let's discuss Appreciation. Okay? So, let's talk about appreciation. I want to give you guys, let's talk about appreciation in the sense of, let me give you guys a little story. Imagine, let's say you were, waking up in the morning and you're so mad because in the morning you got woken up by the garbage trucks going by and the garbage trucks are going by and you're like, oh my God, why did the garbage men have to come so early? They're waking me up out of my sleep. Don't they know people have stuff to do? Let's say they're banging around, they're loud out there, and it just wakes you up. Like, can't they be quiet out there? Oh, look at those silly garbage men. And you're looking at them and you're scoffing. You're like, look at those garbage men. They probably wasted their lives away, didn't go to school, didn't make anything of themselves. So now they're picking up garbage, and you yell at them. You're like, hey, be quiet out there. You're waking up my kids. You're waking up me out of my sleep. I don't have time for this. Can you guys turn it down out there? Okay. Right. Now let's imagine a scenario that for whatever reason, you actually had to spend a day, right, being a garbage man, right? So you had to go through the process, right, of being a garbage man, where you had to wake up whenever the garbage men wake up. You had to do all the routes. You had to get dirty. You had to smell all that nasty trash. You had to see a whole bunch of nasty stuff. You had to go through walking all around, driving the truck, doing all the stuff that the garbage men have to do, and all the BS that the garbage men have to deal with. Well, what do you think is going to happen after you spend a whole day with the garbage men? Your appreciation, hold on, let me fix this. What's going to happen after you spend that time with the garbage men is your appreciation for what the garbage men have to go through in order to do their job is going to grow, right? And you're going to begin to appreciate everything that goes into the process of just putting your garbage out, and how it just gets scooped up and taken to a magical place that you don't have to deal with it, right? Because now, not only will you know what the garbage men have to go through, but you'll know the process, you'll know how much work it takes, you'll know where it goes, you'll know the landfill, you'll know how it smells, you'll know all the stuff they have to deal with when they get there, you'll know what all the politics, all the drama, all the back and forth, all the stresses that they go through. And because you have a much better understanding of what they're going through, your appreciation for that job changes. And then what do you think is going to happen for the rest of your life every time you get woken up by that garbage truck? It's going to be less annoying and less of an inconvenience to you, because you know everything that went into them just being able to show up at your house and pick up your garbage and leave, right? And it's not going to bother you as much. Okay. And so the reason I give you the example, that example of the garbage man and appreciation, is because I want you to understand how a change in your perspective can drastically change how much or how little you appreciate someone or something for who they are. And in this case, when it comes to your absence and stepping away from someone, taking a step back from this guy, right? It can drastically change his perspective, right, on what it's like to be in a relationship with you, or be talking to you, or be around you, because, right, he now has the experience of not being with you, not being around you. And as soon as he stops being able to spend time around you, talk to you 24/7, see you 24/7, text you 24/7, now all of a sudden his appreciation for the time he does get to spend with you can actually increase and grow. It's hard to appreciate all the time you spend with someone when you never are able to not spend time with them. Do you understand how that works? Right? Your appreciation and even your anticipation for spending time with someone can only grow and increase if you're not spending time with them. This is why it's so important that you don't overdo it when it comes to, especially when you're in the beginning stages of dating a guy, that you don't overdo it, that because you like a guy or you're interested in this guy, that you get all giddy and excited and you want to sleep over 6 days a week. Okay? Newsflash to some of you who are new here and maybe don't know this. My advice to you would be to, for the first 3, 4, 5 months, do not be doing no damn sleepovers. Okay, continue presenting yourself in these high quality forms where he gets to come and, anticipate seeing you, be around you, spend some time with you, and he has to go back home and think about the next time he's going to see you. A lot of you sometimes are jumping into right into, oh, I like you now. Okay, we'll sleep over. Okay, 2 days turns to 3 days, turns to 4 days, turns to 5, right? And now you're sleeping over all the time, and it's like being in a marriage, but he hasn't been able to properly go through the process of appreciating you and missing you and contrasting what it's like to be with you versus what it's like to not be with you, that he can actually grow his desire for you over time. Right. And then leading up to the point where you guys do spend every day together, or you guys do live together, where he can already be of the mindset that I love being around you because I appreciate it so much more than not being around you. You understand what I'm saying? When you jump right into it right at the beginning, you never give him that off period, that absence, to appreciate the fact that you being around is amazing. He loves it. He enjoys it. And when you're not around, he's really sad or unhappy or frustrated. And it's just not as wonderful as you being there. His appreciation can never grow for you unless you're absent from him. Same thing in the example I gave you guys at the very beginning about the soldier writing love poems to his wife while he's deployed at war. Right? His appreciation only really came for his wife, truthfully, when he was actually away from her, that he could appreciate all of these different and unique quirks and individual qualities and aspects of her personality. Okay. Teddy says, I would be more grateful that isn't my job. Woo. Yeah, exactly. Right. If you were with the garbage men, and you spent time with them, you would be able to appreciate how much you don't want to be doing that, right? Right? And that's what that is, okay? So someone says, how do I approach him when he realizes I've withdrawn and starts to come closer? You don't approach him. That's the truthful answer, okay? That's the thing, is that I know for a lot of you, if you actually implement this strategy, it will work so well that you'll be like, oh my God, he actually really wants me now. Oh my God, he's pursuing me so much now. Oh my God, he has so much anxiety. He's asking me so much questions about when he's going to see me now. And you'll feel that you need to reciprocate that energy and mirror his desire for you back by going back on the offensive. Like I said earlier, do nothing. Okay. You don't have to do anything. You don't need to go on the offensive. So in that question, you don't need to approach him. Just sit back, relax, enjoy the fact that he's pursuing you, and let him continue to pursue you. You don't need to do anything. Okay, that's the craziest part. I know some of you guys feel the pressure to do more, to feel like, oh, he's not going to like me if I don't continue doing more, or he's going to forget about me if I don't continue doing more. No, he's actually going to continue remembering you if you do less. And he's going to pursue you more if you do less. So just hang tight, sit back, relax, and allow him to pursue you. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. So appreciation is number one, right? Chiama says, if they start, you withdraw again. If they start pursuing you. If they start approaching you or pursuing you, yes, you withdraw. You withdraw. Okay? You withdraw, and you only allow him to see you or spend time with you if it's going to be him planning and scheduling seeing you on a quality date. It doesn't have to be, he spends $1,000 on you, but a quality date where you really are connecting and getting to know each other in person. You take a step back and allow him to be a man, come to his own, and this is a perfect segue, come to his own realization to understand what the next step is, okay? So perfect segue. So number 1 was love poet. Number 2 was imagination. Number 3, we had contrast. Number 4, appreciation. And number 5, the realization, okay? Because men need all of that space and all of that absence to know that you're the one. Because when he actually has that absence from you, he can know for a fact everything he's feeling and thinking is genuine to him. And when he understands that all his thoughts and emotions and feelings are genuine to him, he knows that anything I do from this point on, or any action I take that stems from this realization that I desire her and I want her, is genuine to me, and that's what I want. Okay? That's how he begins to feel. And when he comes to that realization, the next logical step after that realization happens is I must take action on my realization. Okay? Because obviously he's a man, right? So he's a man and he naturally needs to take the lead in the relationship. So if he knows that he really likes you, he really likes spending time with you, he really likes being around you, and he's come to that realization about how much he desires you, how much he wants you, how much he wants to be with you, how much he enjoys, being around you, the next logical thought he will have is how can I take action to fulfill the fact that I desire this woman so much and I want her so much, which is why they come back with a totally different approach than they had when they originally were with you. Okay? Because that realization has settled in. And once that realization settles in, he can now be sure that the next course of action is to pursue you or try to get you or approach you or, you know what I mean? Get you into his life, whatever that may be. Right? Right? So Yama says, Yamaya says, sorry, I misspelled your name. Yamaya says, so do you respond or not? Well, here's the thing. There's a balance. Like I said before, it's not about totally ignoring every text that he sends you. It's also not about being a textaholic. So what you want to do, because I know you want a straight answer, what you want to do is if he's texting you a whole bunch, cool, let him text you a whole bunch. You don't need to respond a whole bunch. What you do, you let it sit for a day, let it sit for hours, let him actually see that you're not a good texter, okay? And then when you do text him back, let him know that you apologize for being such a horrible texter, but you would love to see him in person and spend some in-person time connecting because you get a much better, he would get a much better version of you that way, right? And your schedule is just not going to allow you to be texting all the time and, be on the phone 24/7. That's how you approach it. And then leave it from there. As time goes on, let him keep seeing that you're not going to be a good texter. And as time goes on, let him keep hearing from you how much you would love to spend real quality time with him in person. Don't say, you must take me out on a date. Don't say, hey, when are you going to ask me out on a date finally? Or I'm not texting you back until you ask me out. No. You leave it out there. You say, yeah, I suck at texting. I would love to see you in person though. I love to go out on a date with you, right? I love to go out in a place where we can actually connect. You get so much more of my personality in real life. And then leave him to come up with the bright idea. Oh, I have such an amazing idea. You say that you would love to spend some in-person time together and you know that you're so busy. I know you're so busy that you can't text me. So I got an idea. Maybe we should go out on a dinner date. You think that would be a good idea? Oh, sure. I never even thought of that. A dinner date. Wow, you're such a smart man. Gee, I am such a smart man. You want me to pay for it? You want me to pay $1,000 for the date? Sure, let's go. Right? Just let him fill in the blanks. Let him feel like he came up with the idea to take you out for a nice dinner because that would be a much better way to connect and speak to each other. And then just go along with it. Okay? But don't be available. Show him also that you're not going to be available in these low quality forms over text and over all that stuff. And make it clear that it's not because you're not interested in him. It's because you're busy and you got a whole bunch of other stuff to be doing with your time other than sitting and having pointless conversation with him over text. Okay, right? So that's why that's important. Okay. So do you guys have any questions about that of what we discussed and why your absence will make it known that will let him know that you are the one? Jess says, what if he asks you to come over? That is really specific. That kind of depends, right? Like if he asks you to come over for what reason? Like he's asking you to come over at 2 a.m. That doesn't seem like something real. Now, if you guys have been knowing each other for a while and going on a couple of dates for a while, and he's asking you to come over to cook dinner together and have a nice dinner together, that's totally different. You know what I mean? That's actually a plan. And he's gathering ingredients, or he's like, let's go grocery shopping together and we'll cook dinner together. That's a totally different thing than asking you to come over at 2 a.m. Okay. Chiyama says, what if he's asking you to be patient about his plans for you? Cool, be patient. Like, don't show him that you're stressed or have anxiety about, his plans for you. Show him that you have much better things to do with your time than sit around waiting for him to figure out what he wants to do with you. And also let him see that if he's going to be on the fence about everything, then you'll easily move on to one of the other thousands of men who are waiting and begging to sniff your farts. Okay, don't let him see that you're sitting here having anxiety. When are you gonna like me? When are you gonna be ready for a relationship? Literally be like, cool, whatever. Like, I'm just gonna go do my own thing. Like, I don't care that much. And then he'll start being, whoa, wait. I didn't make it clear. I actually, I want us to date. It's not that I want us to not be in a relationship, right? But the moment he sees that you're sitting there anxiously waiting for him to make a decision, he knows he has the power and he'll shoo you away. He won't think about you. Right. Mariana says, what if he asks you for a coffee or a walk? What do you say? Coffee or a walk is not a bad thing. I don't think that that's a bad thing or at all. Right. If he's doing the initiating, right, he's initiating the idea, he's initiating the date, he's asking you out on this date, then you can say yes. I would encourage you to always give positive feedback and positive reinforcement to a guy taking initiative to try to do something with you in person. Okay, other than he's going to his house and not that. Watching Netflix at his house, not that. But some people, for some people, they like the casualness of going on a coffee date or going on a walk. Don't be so, guys, this is what I'll say. Don't be so, don't get too focused on money that you're like, oh my God, if he doesn't spend $1,000 on the first date, then I'm not going on the date. Like, come on, guys. If the guys are taking initiative and they actually want to spend real time with you, that's not just come to my house. Because what are you going to do on a coffee date? You're not really going to eat. What are you going to do on a walk? You can't really do anything except talk. But talking is actually really good. It's a really good way to get to know him and understand him better. So that can actually be to your advantage, especially if he is doing the effort of being like, let's go here. Do you want to go here? Do you want to do this? Give him that positive reinforcement that you go on a coffee date. And let's say you guys both enjoy the coffee date. What do you think he's going to do next? Let's go to this place instead. I enjoyed the coffee date so much. Let's go to dinner now. Let's go here. And it'll begin escalating. Don't be so focused on, oh my God, if he doesn't ask me to go to Nobu the first time, then it's a waste of a date. Because now what you're doing is you're turning down the men who are actually trying to take initiative and try to take you out somewhere or go out with you somewhere and see you in person. And then what happens is you only end up with the men who are not trying to take initiative. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Amazon's bestseller says coffee dates are too casual. Well, I mean, it all depends on you. Obviously, I can't tell you guys how to live your life, right? So if you feel like coffee dates are too casual, then that's perfectly fine. I just want you to keep in mind that my own personal feelings is that the initiative is more important than where he actually plans on taking you. I know some other people like Shiro will tell you, get him to invest $1,000, get him to invest as much money as he possibly can, get him to spend thousands of dollars on you the first time he sees you. That's fine. That's a different perspective. I like to focus more on the emotion and the relationship and the connection. And I think that the aspect of a man taking initiative shows that he is interested in you genuinely and that he wants to grow and build the relationship, right? That is not necessarily a financial investment, but that's an emotional investment that can lead to a financial investment. You understand what I'm saying? You'll never be able to realize if a man would take you out for $1,000 date if you turn down the coffee date that could have turned into $1,000 date down the line. Do you understand what I'm saying? There are men who might take you on $1,000 date, but at least want to take you on a coffee date to see if they like you first. But they're still willing to take the initiative of taking you out and spending time with you. This is why I say it can be anything that I talk to you guys about, I always talk to you guys about balance. I never want you guys to be so focused on doing one thing extreme that you never take into account anything else. As soon as you start thinking with an extreme mindset, you'll always lose sight of the bigger picture. You understand what I'm saying? So him spending thousands of dollars on you, buying you gifts, doing amazing stuff for you, that's great. It is great. It's awesome. That's investment. That's so good. But you also want to make sure that he's not just spending money on you as a way to mask the fact he doesn't actually want to be with you. He just wants to use you for his pleasure. And in exchange for using you for his pleasure, he's going to spend some money on you. Because what's going to happen is you're just going to find yourself in a situation where you get played by rich men. So yeah, cool. You have gifts, but then you also have lots of trauma from being used and just taken out on a couple fancy dinners. And because you think the fancy dinner is all that matters, you don't focus on, okay, what are you here for? What are your intentions? What are you trying to build a relationship with me? And then you allow these men to take you out on one or two fancy dinner dates. And then he takes you back to his house. He uses you, he gets your Squirtle, and then he discards of you. So what was the point? Yeah, you got a fancy dinner out of it. Maybe you got a Chanel bag if he's really rich, but you still have trauma. And is the trauma really going to be differentiated or feel any better because you have got a couple nice dates and a nice pictures? I don't know. Maybe I'm just an idiot. Okay. So that's my advice on that, right? I always advise, especially in this especially in this day and age of guys, being on dating apps, not wanting to take initiative, wanting princess treatment themselves, okay, from you, the woman. They want princess treatment from you, especially in this day and age that we're in. I would definitely be rewarding the men who are taking initiative and trying to plan things and schedule things with you, even if they're not the most big, huge, extravagant things, because you're feeding him a positive feedback loop where when you take initiative, when you schedule, when you plan, when you be the man, when you pursue, you get rewarded for your pursuit. That doesn't mean you have to give him your Squirtle. I didn't say that, right? Doesn't have to mean you start rewarding him with your hands, mouth, or ears, for some of you who are weird, whatever you might be into, or your feet, right? But what I am saying is you reward him with you. You reward him with access to you for pursuing, for being a man, for taking initiative, for planning, for scheduling. Okay? You don't want to get into a cycle where you're actively shutting down or giving men negative feedback loops for trying to take initiative. So, for example, if a man is saying, oh, he wants to take you out for a coffee date and go out for a walk and spend some time with you, right? And he's saying, can you do this day? Can you do that day? Right? And he's taking initiative for it. And you say, no, I don't want a coffee date. I don't like that. You're not serious about me because you want to take me out on a coffee date. What you're doing is you're showing him that when he does take initiative, when he does try to plan, when he does try to schedule, you're going to shut him down. He's going to have negative reinforcement, right? For him trying to reach out, him trying to be a man, him trying to pursue. You've now shut him down. So what's he going to do? He's going to shut down, and he's not going to think to himself, okay, let me ask her again. Let me try to pursue her some more. Let me try to schedule some more and be the man, right? Because you've shown him that when he tries to do that, it doesn't end up well for him. Okay. So make sure that that's the case. That's my advice. Okay. Obviously you guys can do whatever you want. Maybe I'm an idiot. But that's my advice. Brianna says, why do men talk about kids in marriage early? For many reasons. It depends on the context. You'd be talking about kids in marriage. He could be talking about them as in relation to what he envisions for his future, in which case that's not necessarily a red flag, right? He's just talking about what he envisions for his future. But if he's talking about that as in like, I want you to have my babies right now, I want us to get married right now, and this is like the first or second date, then that's love bombing, which is a totally different thing. And that's something you should be aware of. Okay. Right. Okay. So let's hop right into the Discord. It's Discord time. I make a new song every day. It's Discord time. Okay, it's Discord time. Okay, it's Discord time. Okay, Discord time. It's Discord time. It's Discord time. It's Discord time. All right. Let's hop into the Discord. I hope you guys have brought your questions into the Discord. For those of you who don't know how to send your question into the Discord. Please make sure that you hop. If you're on YouTube, you go down into the bottom of the description. You'll see my Discord link there. You can join the Discord and ask your question. If you what the hell? If you want to ask me a question and you're on TikTok, you just go into my TikTok bio and you can ask. Excuse me, you can ask your question there. Okay, so let's hop into the Discord right now and we'll get started with some of these amazing questions. We got lots to do. All right, let's hop into the Discord. Okay, so first we have Lennon Lake. Okay, I think we did. This is Lennon Lakes from a while ago. Yeah, this is Lennon Lakes from a while ago. So her question was answered by not just me, but even some other amazing people in the chat. So that's so awesome. Okay. Next, this is France. I guess this is an update. You know what? We'll read France's update because France's was so crazy from last time that I think it does require an update. For those of you who missed it, it was 2 days ago in the live stream where we read through France's thing. If you want to just screenshot this and reread it, we kind of already did it. But screenshot this part, and reread it. We already did France's from from 2 days ago. So now this is France's update, right? She's added some things, okay? So France said, I watched the replay of your live and saw your responses. Thank you so much. So sorry for not putting the full context. I was limited with 2,000 or something characters, so I had to edit plenty of times for it to fit. Your theory was spot on, though. We've been together for a long time, and he has always had his full attention on me. He's done everything right, that it was nearly perfect. I've never got to feel jealousy towards others, right? Hence why I have subconsciously taken advantage of him. Interesting. Just to clarify some questions, why we never got married and waited 9 years. It was a combination of a lot of things. We met when I was 20, he was 23. We started kind of young, and during those times, we were just starting our career. Broke, and building a family wasn't in our cards yet. Even before he proposed, we already were talking about marriage and stuff. We have agreed to do it once we are financially capable. Few months after he proposed, I found a new job, and this career needed me to always be out of the country. It was also my dream career, so I talked to him if we could wait maybe a year until finally settling into my job. He was very understanding about it. We already lived together since we got engaged. Okay. She also says, this also happened after he proposed. I found out that my father has been cheating on my mom for decades. Oh my goodness. And had a child with his other woman. Oh my God, this is insane. This shook up the entire family, being the eldest only daughter, and seeing my mom break. It was devastating. Although his cheating wasn't new to me, when I was young, I would always see them fight all the time. Yet my mom would always tell me that my father is a good man and would never ever make a random girl pregnant. I was so broken, and because of it, I lost faith in marriage. I was traumatized and scared that it might happen to me too. Of course, was with me all through this pain, and I was clearly open to him that now I'm scared to get married. I wanted to go to therapy, and he was very supportive. He said he'd wait. Then what happened next was I met this other man, and the story goes on. I guess I'm just effed up and need to go to therapy. I do really regret what I've done and would always choose my fiance, although I know that my fiance is not a spiteful person, but people change like I did. Now I'm scared that it might happen to me all over again. Thank you so much for not being judgmental about it. You are full of wisdom. Nowadays, people change for a single Nowadays, people charge for a single humanly advice. I appreciate your efforts and continue to make these videos. It's so helpful. So thank you, France, for your story. By the way, if you guys missed France's story, please go back and you can just screenshot it here, or you can, I'll leave it here for you guys to screenshot each part, and then you can reread it over again because we already did the first half. So in this second half, friends, I appreciate you giving us clarity on something, because I know it was such a big story in the live chat and in the stream. This is like, Players Club lore right here, because you're like etched in history as like one of the craziest stories we've ever had on here. Yes, I'm glad, well, not glad, but it's interesting to see that I was right on the theory of you feeling like you did it because you knew deep down in your heart that he would forgive you, and the complacency that you begin to feel after a while. When this is why I tell you guys, make sure that you give your partner a little bit of anxiety, that if they're not on point, that you will walk away. Okay, that anxiety is good. It keeps them interested in you and you alone. As soon as you allow someone to feel super comfortable, super at ease, that they never have to do anything more to earn or work for your love, they begin becoming complacent. And unfortunately, that's what happened to France. She kind of lost her interest in her man, and then she ended up cheating on her man, even though she kind of went through that situation with her parents and realizing how devastating it can be, right? It's almost like something you can't control your response to, no matter what you've been through. It's crazy, right? So just keep that in mind, guys, right? Crazy situation. Thank you, friends, for giving us an update. Next, we have Key, okay, or Kai, Key. I think it's Key. So Key asks how to tell if a guy finds me physically attractive. Key says, hi, I'm a 30-year-old female and single, and can't tell if men genuinely find me physically attractive. I occasionally get compliments, but I don't get approached. Okay, but I admittedly only really leave my house to go to work or the store, so I'm not around people much. I've been told by numerous people, mostly women, that I'm very attractive, but since I don't get approached or experience any pretty privilege, I have a hard time believing that. Okay, with that said, I feel I feel weary about an attractive man telling me he finds me attractive. The only history I really have of it happening is on dating apps, which I've sworn off for a list of reasons. So I feel like there's a high probability they were just telling me that they were just telling me what they thought I wanted to hear, in hopes of getting pineapples or at least some pics of me, neither of which I gave. A lot of people I found cute never actually messaged me after we matched either, and I'm not sure if that's because they were just swiping on every girl, so they don't swipe on me, from actually not finding me attractive, or from finding me attractive, or they just wanted me to message first, since that would indicate higher interest, so I'd be more easy. It's hard because I find myself attractive now. I've lost weight, so I'm feeling a lot more confident about my appearance, but I don't want to be arrogant, delusional about it. I think it's just because I find myself attractive, so everyone else does. I know it's a positive mindset to be in, but I don't want to get played by a guy out of my league for thinking he wants me when he really doesn't. So is there a way to tell if a guy genuinely finds me physically attractive? Okay, Key, I think this is an interesting question, and I want you as women to give your advice or perspective to Key as well. I don't just want it to be me talking as if I know everything. So, Key, what I'll say to you is, I think in your situation, if other people are saying that you're attractive, you need to start taking other people at their word, because they see you more than you see you. So if you're hearing that constantly, then there's something to that. And you saying that you don't experience pretty privilege, well, you also said that you rarely leave your house, okay? You only go to work and go to the store. It would be slightly inappropriate for your coworkers to constantly be complimenting you or doing, going over the top with it. And going to the store, I mean, how many times are you going to have someone approach you at the store? it's just not going to happen. So you actually need to step outside of your house more in order to really see if if your theory is true that you don't experience any pretty privilege. I don't think you're out of your house enough to even know if that's true or not. I also think that your mind can be focused on whatever narrative you've created in your mind. So if you feel that you don't experience pretty privilege, a lot of times you're only going to be able to see the examples of how you don't experience pretty privilege. However, it'd be very difficult for me to think that you would not experience pretty privilege, except everyone would say that you're very attractive. That doesn't seem to align with each other, right? And I know that's probably what's confusing for you as well. But if people are purposely going out of their way to tell you how attractive you are, that's not for no reason. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you can also be experiencing pretty privilege in ways that you don't realize because it's subtle, or you're just not thinking of that as pretty privilege. You understand? And so if you look in the mirror and you find yourself attractive, don't apologize for that. That's how you should feel about yourself. Because what happens is, it's not just about your physical traits that are attractive to people. It's also about your energy and your aura. So as you find yourself attractive, so does everyone else. Literally exactly what you said. As you look in the mirror and feel like you're attractive and people would like you and be interested in you, that's what you project outwardly. You begin to have confidence in yourself, in your looks, in your ability to attract a guy. And so when a guy is interested in you, you're not surprised or shocked that he's interested in you. You actually feel like that's the norm. And when you feel like that's the norm, you act like it's the norm, and the guys treat you as if you're so valuable that it's normal for guys to want to chase after you. Okay, and they approach you like that. When they see that you're so hyped up about the fact that any single one guy would like you, what it tells them subconsciously is, oh, she must not be accustomed to guys chasing after her or desiring her. So what it also tells them is she must not have a lot of value if not a lot of guys are chasing after her or trying to be with her or desiring her. You understand what I'm saying? So they all kind of play a role in each other. Now, to answer your last question here, as it relates to telling if a guy genuinely finds you physically attractive, well, here's the thing. The only way they would, well, I wouldn't say the only way. When it comes to dating apps, guys can be swiping just for the quantity of women, right? They just want a large quantity of women. Now, if a guy finds you genuinely attractive, I would be basing everything that I think of genuine attraction based on real life interaction. So you probably need to get better in your flirting sense. It's like a seventh sense, right? Your ability to sense if someone is flirting with you indirectly, because that will tell you that someone finds you physically attractive. They're not going to be flirting with you if they don't find you physically attractive, especially if they don't know you. So I think honestly, you kind of need to work on your ability to understand if someone's flirting with you or not. Step outside of your house more. This is my advice to you, because you're going to be like, how do I understand that better? Step outside of your house more. Go to places that aren't the club or the bar. Obviously, you stay off the dating apps. Go to any other place. Step outside of your house more. As you begin talking to people more, having more conversation with people in real life, you'll begin to develop the ability to sense if someone is trying to flirt with you or interested in you. And as you begin to develop that ability, you'll begin to understand, oh, you're talking to me because you're physically attracted to me, or, oh, you're doing this because you're physically attracted to me. I go to a gym where, I don't know, hopefully none of the people that I go to the same gym as are watching this, but I go to a gym where one of the guys who works at the gym, literally this happened today, where he comes around and there's one girl at the gym. She's an attractive girl. And so she's working out, and every time she goes in the morning, I go in the morning, and every time she's at the gym working out, this guy who's one of those staff at the gym, he'll come around, he'll check the equipment, and he'll give her a high five. And he doesn't give anyone else in the gym a high five except for her. Like, he'll come around and he'll make it a thing and he'll give her a high five. I'm there every morning, so I see it every morning. And obviously, he's not doing that if he finds her unattractive. Like, that's just part of the things that you have to like start realizing in your brain, is that certain things people are going to say and do to you stems from their attraction to you. Okay. They're not going to be doing certain things or saying certain things to you if they're not physically attracted to you, but you need to be able to pick up on that sense. All right. So that was keys. Next we have Angie. Angie's question is, did we do this one? No. Angie's question is 35 female, 25 male, long distance relationship. It's been 7 months. He's hot and cold, but won't let me go. So Angie asked, we've been talking for over 7 months now. He's hot and cold. He will ghost me. Sometimes I'll let it go and move on. And then he comes back. Saw him last month. We hung out, which was so nice. Like we were an actual couple. We had amazing pineapples. But a week before I had to leave, he stopped talking to me and said he had personal issues. Okay. I told myself, this is BS. I let him know it's time to move on and find peace. Let's cut the string and keep us untethered. 5 days later, he told me, no, he won't do it. He wants me in his life. We spoke and connected 2 weeks later. And 2 weeks later, he's silent. Okay. Angie, great question. I hate to tell you this. See, 99.9% of the time, having pineapples is a mistake. There aren't a lot of coincidences in the world. It's not a coincidence that you guys had what you considered was amazing pineapples, and a week before you had to leave, which was presumably after you had pineapples, all of a sudden he had personal issues. Okay. Once he got the pineapples and he satisfied that desire, all of a sudden things popped up and excuses popped up. Now, sure, one time maybe is a coincidence, but it's not a coincidence that after he came back, remember I talked to you, I made a live stream about why men keep you around. Maybe I'll do another one that goes more in depth, because that one I don't think was in depth enough. But for him to say 5 days later, he wants you in his life, what happens is the aspect of feeling like he's lost you because you said you're about to move on hurts his ego, because now he feels like you're not going to want to be with him anymore. That's an ego herter, whatever, however you want to say it. Okay. And so when you spoke and connected, he realized that he's back in your good graces and he can have access to you when he wants. The moment he realized he can have access to you again whenever he wants, he then came to the realization it's not necessary to continue talking to you, because his ego has been fulfilled with the fact that he was able to come to you, apologize, connect with you, say whatever he wanted to you, give you some sad sob story, and now you'll forgive him and want to be with him again. And so that's why 2 weeks later he goes silent, because you satisfied his ego by showing him that if he comes back after disappearing, that you'll forgive him and want to be with him again. It's like a vicious game that people play, and it's almost like a power game, right? He just wants to see that he still has power over you, that you're too desperate to let him go and let the situation go, and you have so little standards, or maybe his D game is so amazing that you will allow him to come back just by saying some random stuff about how he wants you in his life. Okay. And so that's the problem with that. So my advice to you would be to actually just step away from the situation. You don't even need to say all of that. It's unnecessary. And I think honestly, especially with you say you've been talking for over 7 months. That's the problem with a long distance relationship, is I don't really know what talking means. Does talking mean texting all the time and FaceTiming or calling every now and again? Because you're not really getting to know someone that way. I know it feels like you're not really getting to know someone that way, unfortunately. The only way you can really get to know the real personality or character of a person and feel what it feels like to be around them is by spending real in-person time with them. So unfortunately, you weren't actually seeing him for 7 months. You saw him for however much time you actually spent in person, because you can call, text, and FaceTime someone to death, and then when you finally meet them, you get a totally different feeling than you felt when you were calling or texting them. That should tell you that meeting someone in real life is a very different experience from calling and even texting, from texting and even calling and FaceTiming them. Okay. So I think the mistake was thinking that this 7 months of talking that was probably filled with mostly texting and calling and Snapchatting was actually building the relationship, when the building of the relationship happens when you finally meet each other in person. And he showed you that it was really all about the pineapples, unfortunately. Okay. Next we have S's situation got, oh my God, we had so much people answer S's situation. For those of you who didn't get to see S's situation, please join the Discord and you can go into there and see S's situation. They're having amazing conversation about that. Oh, what did I do that? Okay, let's go to Adriana's. So Adriana says, how long should I wait? I met this guy. We saw each other consistently for 10 days, super flirty, and we told each other we like each other, and he said he wants to continue to see me. Okay. He just doesn't know if he will be moving out of state or not. He asked for my number and he said he will call me. It's been 6 days. I haven't heard from him. He was born in the 80s. So I just chopped it up to his idea of dating is slower, different than modern dating. Should I wait for him to call or just move on, or how long should I wait? I mean, what do you mean, how long should you wait? As in, like, if he is the only one with your number and you don't have his number, there is no other option. But also, he asked for your number. Okay, so he's being the man. Okay, he's taking initiative. He said he would call you. Okay, that's what he said. If he cannot stick to his word, leave him be. Okay, don't be chasing after him. Why didn't you call me? You said you were gonna call me. You said that makes you seem like an anxious, desperate person, that you're sitting around waiting for his answer and your life can't continue if he doesn't answer you. Okay, I know you're obviously asking this question because you're concerned, but what I want you to understand, if you reach out and say, why didn't you call me? It's been 6 days, or right? All it does is make you be perceived as a desperate person, that that you're sitting around waiting for his call like a sad girl who has no other men who are chasing after her or trying to sniff her farts. Okay, you want to be like a girl who is highly sought after, and tons of men are saying, please, can I call you? Please, can I sniff your fart? Please, can I put my nose in your butthole? Like, you want to be embodying that type of energy. So if he doesn't call you in 6 days, by the time he does call you, you should be like, who is this? I honestly, who's talking right now? Like, who's calling me right now? Oh, John, we spent 10 days together. Who? There's 80 guys trying to ring down my line. I don't know. I don't remember who you are. Okay. Remind me of your presence. That's the type of energy you need to remind me who you are. I forgot. There's 80,000 guys trying to be with me currently as we speak. There's no way I can remember who you are just by telling me your first name. Tell me what we've been doing. What's our experience together? Okay. That will hurt his ego. Let's say he does call you. That will hurt his ego and put him in his place. That you are not sitting around and waiting for his call as if your life has stopped because he said he was going to call you. That screams desperation. That screams you have nothing else going on in your life, okay? You want to be embodying someone who has plenty of things going for themselves and going on in their life, that you don't sit around waiting for men to call you. And if he does call you, you've already forgotten who he was by the time he calls you. That's what you want to be embodying, because it scares the men, it gives them anxiety, and it brings them to start chasing after you. Right? So that's my response to you. Right? Oh, is that Adriana in the chat? So basically take multiple people at once. You don't even have to actually be dating other guys, right? If it helps you feel like you're living and embodying what you're saying, sure. But you don't actually have to be dating other guys. You can literally just be like, yeah, I don't remember who you are. Like, right? Because it's all about perception. Remember that. right? Perception is what drives value or takes it away. So if his perception is that you don't have enough time to be sitting around and waiting for him to text you back, that is good. Even if it doesn't even necessarily have to mean, oh, I was out on 10,000 dates with a whole bunch of other guys. It can simply mean I was doing other things that I care about. I was painting. I had to go to do this for my sister. I have a bunch of things and friends and places to go and people to meet that aren't just you. So I don't sit around waiting for your call. It doesn't have to mean that you're dating a bunch of different people. Okay. Oh, I see the message was deleted here, so I guess I can't answer. If you guys delete your message, I can't answer it. So pretty straightforward. I think this one we did. Yeah, this is Lena Leaks. This that we did already. E says. Okay, E says he won't stop texting me about every little thing. This is probably going to be interesting. Okay, so E says, hi, I've been so, let me make sure. Okay. Hi, I've been seeing this guy. We text a lot and we've got a 5-year age gap which isn't that bad. He's got a big boy job and all that while I'm still in college. Okay, nothing wrong so far. Now, the issue is we've gone on one date with another on Friday. It went super well. We get along very well, and it seems like he really likes me. Now, while we don't text a lot, he sees me all the time. Now while we do text a lot, he texts me all the time, just talking about random things that happen in his day. He doesn't stop talking about himself, it seems. He asks how my day's been, but he just talks about himself a lot. He is confident, which I like, and compliments me all the time, but I feel like our conversations aren't really progressing past that guy at my job is messing up his line so bad. It's so funny. And I'm not interested in being his pen pal before exclusivity. What should I do? Okay, E, great question. My advice to you would be to do exactly what I was kind of describing to you guys today. When it comes to text, show him that you're not going to be available over text. So if you got to text him back in a day, if you got to take, 10, 12 hours to text him back, show him that you're not going to be a text buddy. Don't just tell him that. Show him that. When you do answer him, let him know that you've been busy. You've been working on a lot of stuff. You've had a lot of stuff to do in your days. Your days are packed. Your schedule is packed. And that by the time you are going to get back to him, right, it's going to be difficult because for you, the best version that he will get of you is if he was to be in person with you, right? And then once he acknowledges that, he's like, oh, I agree. I understand, you're busy and this and that. Let him continue to see that you're not going to be a texting buddy pen pal. And then from there, he's going to come to the realization, all right, let's go on this date. Let's go on this whatever. Let's go out to this place. And you can agree because obviously you enjoyed the date. So the last date. So you can agree. And then don't be texting him in the meantime leading up to the date, except for obviously scheduling like, okay, I'm prepared for the date. Let's say the day of or whatever. I'm prepared for the date. We're still on. We're still good for time and all that good stuff. Schedule. Okay. So aside from scheduling, don't be talking to him about random stuff. Now, as it relates to him talking about himself a lot, that's actually good. Okay. I want you to get you guys to understand this. The guys that talk about themselves a lot and you can actually get them in the rhythm of talking about themselves a lot, that's good. Remember, E specifically, and for the rest of you, you don't actually have to give anything to this man. All right. Like he's dating you, he's courting you, he's taking you out. That's great. You don't actually have to give him anything in return. So if he's going to talk your ear off and talk about himself, use that as the time where you can learn the most about him and ask the most questions and decide, is this someone I even want to be in a relationship with? Because the more you can get him talking about himself, not just his job, but his past, his relationships, what he's been through, what he expects, what he wants, what his plans are with you, that's all good because now you're getting him to lay all of his cards on the table and you get to sit back and say, okay, I don't even have to show my hand. I know what I want. I know what I'm expecting. Now that I have all of this information from you talking my ear off, I can make a decision on whether or not you're even someone I want to be building a relationship with and giving squirrel to. And if you decide that he's not the type of person that you want to be giving yourself to, well, then you can walk away scot-free knowing that you made a decision based on having all of this information. So my advice to you, E, is continue getting him to talk. Feed into that. Actually, do even a step further and make yourself seem as if you're so interested in everything he has to say about himself. That way, you can start manipulating the conversation and asking the specific questions that you want answers to, getting him talking about those things. That way you can be logging all of that information and get the answers you need to determine if he will be a suitable partner for you. Don't just sit back and let him take the conversation wherever he wants to take it and talk about whatever he wants. Steer the conversation by being strategic about the information that you need and want to know about him, and then get him to talk about those things. Don't just get him to talk about random stuff that you don't care about. Get him to talk about the stuff you do care about, and then let him talk your ear off, and then you have a whole bunch of information that you can utilize and make a decision with. Okay, so that's my advice to you, E. Next, we have, let's see here. Next, we have Jennifer. Jennifer's actually the last one we have here, okay? So Jennifer says, "Hi all, my crush became famous. Oh my God. Now he has 3 million followers. Chat. Let's see if we can tell who her crush is by what she's describing. I wonder if she'll give us some description. I like being nosy. Now he has 3 million plus followers. We follow each other on social media since I was supporting him early of his career. I went to one of his shows. Oh, so that means he's probably a musician. And texted him that I want his poster. We talked via text and a bit. He asked if I live, but then he asked if I live in this town where the show was that night. Oh, so it's literally just your crush. So how long have you been talking to him before that? But no, I live in the city. He told me to let him know when I get back to the city, he'll bring it to me. I don't know what I was thinking, but didn't reach out. Do you think he's interested? We text each other once in a while, but things are going nowhere. He told me to come to his show recently, but I wasn't able to go. How to approach him that I won't feel like I'm chasing? Should I go to his show more? How often? Should I let him know every time I'll go? Any advice? Thank you. My advice to you, Jennifer, is do nothing. Do way less than you're doing. So if he invites you to a show, yeah, sure, go to the show. Only go to the show based off of his invite, okay? Right? Don't go to the show based off of, just the fact that he's having a show. And if you are going to the show, it better be that you're backstage and like actually seeing him. Not that you're sitting, in the general audience, like a loser and just watching him like you're one of his fans. Okay. If he's not trying to invite you to the show to give you special treatment, then he's not actually interested in you. He just wants you to be one of his fans, and spend all your time thinking about him. That's like an ego thing. Now, if he's actually trying to build a relationship with you, his way of inviting you to the show will be much more personal. Like, hey, you're going to come backstage. You're going to be here with me. You're going to be, we're going to go out later and things like that. That's totally different. If he's just telling you to come to the show and, hey, I'll pay for your ticket, you can be in general admission like a peasant, then he's not interested in you. Okay. So keep that in mind. My advice to you would be to do less, sit back and relax. If he's actually interested in you, he's got your number so he can text you. You don't need to be texting him. He knows what city you live in. He does you, so you don't be worried about all that. And if he really wanted to see you that badly, he would come see you even if he didn't have a show there. That's the thing with artists and musicians, is that a lot of times they like to do this thing where if they know they're going to be spending a lot of time somewhere, they'll get their individual girlfriends for all of those individual areas. So they'll hit up all of their individual girls whenever they know they're about to be in that specific area. You understand what I'm saying? Because they travel a lot. So rather than having a girlfriend that comes with them everywhere, they just have their individual girlfriends that live wherever it is that they're going to spend their time at that time. So just keep that in mind, Jennifer. That's the cycle. And if he's constantly asking you, yo, just hit me up whenever you're in the city, that's more so for he wants to see if he can make you that girlfriend in that city, that, you know, whenever he spends his time there, he can come use you and get what he wants from you and then go off back on his tour, you know, going place to place. Okay. If he really wanted to create a relationship and a bond with you, it wouldn't be focused on you just letting him know when you're in the city. It'd be more focused on actually building a bond with you outside of you just coming to his shows. So do less, actually do nothing. Let him reach out to you and show you what he wants from you. And if he's just asking you to come to his shows, he's not actually interested in you, especially if he's asking you to come to the shows, just be a peasant in general admission. Okay. He's not actually interested in you. All right. So that is it. That was where all our questions for today. So if you have any, I don't even say personal questions. All your personal questions go on Discord. If you have a personal question for the Discord, please make sure if you're on TikTok, you go to my TikTok bio, ask your question. If you're on YouTube, you go down into the description. At the bottom, you click the Discord link and you can access the Discord from there. You can read all the past ones in the relationship advice forum because we've had some crazy ones, and you can even respond there as well. And you can have chit chat with all the amazing other women in there. By the way, if you guys ever want to, you know, do a voice chat version, there's also a voice chat version there. Let me know in the Discord if you guys would be interested in coming on the show and telling your story or giving an experience via voice chat, because we can also do that as well on the show. Okay. So that's that for today. On YouTube, if you guys are on TikTok and you're watching me and you want to know how to access this live stream and rewatch it in its entirety because you love it so much, you're like, this show is so amazing. This is the best experience I've ever had in my life. Where can I find this? Where can I see this? Where can I enjoy this? Go on YouTube and you can find this entire show in its entirety in the live section of my YouTube, and you can rewatch it. Right? You can rewatch it in its entirety and its awesomeness there as well. All right. So that is the show for today. I will see all of you amazing, beautiful, awesome, lovely people tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time. 4 p.m. Eastern time. So whatever time that is in your time zone is when I will see you again tomorrow. So make sure if you want to come and catch me live that you get me at 4 p.m. Eastern time. All right. So enjoy the rest of your beautiful Wednesday or Thursday if you are on the other side of the world. And I will see you tomorrow at exactly 4 p.m. Eastern time. All right. Until then, bye for now. I love you so much. I can't wait to see you again tomorrow where we have more discussion about